We are recording for only for internal documentation, as I had written in my email and also in the chat box. Pasqualino.
I am the country liaison for Egypt from ETF, and I'm glad to be because I like to work in Egypt.
Mahmoud.
Good morning. I'm the Technical Support and External Affairs Manager of the BIU TVET.
Thanks a lot, Ahlam.
I'm the Program Manager at the EU Delegation in charge of education and TVET sector.
Thank you. Ahmed.
Ahmed Al-Ashmawi, Advisor in the Ministry of Education and Technical Education.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Also, Mahed, Mr. Barakat.
Maged Barakat, Executive Director of TVET 2 program.
Thank you. Radwa, with whom I have been in touch a lot this last week.
Yes, Radwa Abduraouf from the GIZ Employment Promotion Project. I'm the Head of Labor Market Information.
Thank you. Nehal.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Nihal Ismail, and I'm also part of the Labor Market Information team in the Employment Promotion Project in the GIZ.
Thank you so much. Mustafa.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mustafa Hamdi from TVET Egypt program, e-delegation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nada.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nada Qasim. I'm an advisor in the Employment Promotion Project in the Labor Market Information team.
Thank you. And then Adrian, or Andreas, better said. Adrian is the family name. Unmute, Andreas.
I said, don't worry, it works with both names, so no problem. I'm the cluster coordinator for the technical education and labor market projects in the GIZ in Egypt.
Many thanks. Adele, could you also introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Adele and I work as an advisor with GIZ Employment Promotion Project, Output 1 Labor Market Information.
Thank you very much. And Kamal, who we know also well from previous exchanges and webinars.
Hi, Eduardo. Hi, everyone. This is Kamal Armanius. I'm also advisor in labor market analysis instrument and future of work, which is the component 1 from EPP3. Happy to be with you.
Thank you so much. So if you don't mind, we had proposed an agenda based on 3 main points. One would be then a very, very brief overview of the status of labor market information system in Egypt currently, or at least what can be shared here. And especially what would be very useful for us is to have an overview of the activities and, let's say, objectives of the task force on the future of work, because that's exactly the platform, let's say, to which we maybe could attach or contribute to as an ETF project, Big Data for Labor Market Intelligence. And I don't know who would like to do this, this very brief overview and also brief description of the activities of the task force.
I'm happy to do that. I don't know, Andres, whether you want to say any opening remarks or I can jump right away to the topic.
No, please go ahead directly into the technical subject.
Okay. Maybe Nada, you can share the presentation, share the screen. So yes. Basically, as mentioned, we are from the Employment Promotion Project, which is a bilateral project working with the Ministry of Education and Technical Education. We are in phase 3 of the project. The phase 3 would run until June 2023. And we focus on 2 main objectives, just to give you the broader picture. One is to facilitate the labor market-oriented transition of technical education students and graduates into the labor market. And the other one is to support the Ministry of Education and Technical Education in achieving the pillars of the technical education reform. if I jump right away to labor market information and what we do, we have in the project, we have two components concerned with labor market information. One that deals with future of work and labor market analysis, and the other one deals with labor market information as a component within the Ministry of Education and Technical Education. On slide 3, we can jump right away to slide 3 here. And if we can make the screen bigger, exactly, thank you very much. You can see here that we work on two main pillars. The first pillar is the National Forum on the Future of Work, and the second pillar are the labor market analysis instruments, which are the two boxes in the middle. How do we do that? We do that in a cooperative manner. So we cooperate with relevant ministries and private sector institutions, as well as think tanks. So on the left-hand side, you have the National Statistical Body of Egypt, CAPMAS, you have the Ministry of Planning, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Manpower, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and the private sector represented in the Federation of Egyptian Industries, as well as think tanks such as the Economic Research Forum. The idea is that, and always the starting point is information and evidence. So when we launched the idea of the National Forum on the Future of Work, we wanted to have it evidence-based, tackling the priority topics for Egypt. So basically, I don't know whether you heard about it, but it's a national forum where different stakeholders get together to discuss certain topics of relevance. If we can just mute, I think there is an echo or a background noise. Yes, thank you. So the National Forum discusses the topics such as, in the first forum, the growing and shrinking occupations, the demand for skills, the gig economy. And in doing so, we produce research and evidence and do analysis of these findings to be presented in the National Forum on the Future of Work. The other thing is the labor market analysis instruments, which are basically from the name, they are instruments, they are tools that aim to improve the analysis of existing data and or improve the presentation of certain data sets that are there, or go for more innovative instruments that analyze data about particularly the demand side of the labor market. So our focus is the demand side of the labor market. Of course, the right-hand side objectives, they are, self-explanatory in the sense that we aim at the end of the day to have this evidence support policy making and transition to employment and training program development, etc. Having said that, the task force, as I mentioned briefly, this is the composition of the task force which we initiated in the phase 3 of the employment promotion project. And it has the main objective of aligning between different relevant actors on the topic of labor market information and analysis, as well as the future of work, which is to a large extent a new topic in Egypt from the research and evidence point of view. We do so through regular meetings, so bi-weekly meetings. These are the representatives from the ministries, from CAPMAS, but also from the development partners. We have, of course, our project and also the ILO ADWA project, the Advancement of the Decent Work Agenda project, and Mustafa from the TVET Egypt, as well as the USAID funded Workforce Egypt project. From the private sector, we have the FEI, and in general, for the work of the task force, be it future of work or the labor market analysis, we have two prominent international experts, Dr. Raghi Asad and Dr. Carolyn Crafts, which are well-known labor economists internationally, but particularly also in Egypt. And we have the Economic Research Forum. In those task force, we, just to give you an idea or a sense of things, we meet on a regular basis, we discuss the plan, we get comments, we get to know who has which resources, how we bring things together to avoid overlaps, etc. One of the things that we did so far are the labor market analysis instruments. I think Nada is disconnected. Let me share my screen again. sorry, we use more MS Teams than Zoom. So I hope you can see my screen. How do I?
Yes, we can.
You can? Let me bring this here. Yes. If you can see my screen, then on the front of the labor market analysis instruments, we give subtitles. That's right. Okay. We have 3 main labor market analysis instruments that we implement as part of the work of the task force. The first one is the Egypt Occupational Outlook. The second one is a projection of the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are needed at the occupational level. And third, a vacancy and job search barometer. I can give you an idea about the first instrument that has already been initiated and is soon to be launched. It's basically a digital interface on the website of the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development. It's called Egypt Occupational Outlook that provides different information about around 160 occupations in Egypt, ranging from the rate of growth of employment, median wages, what are the requirements to enter this occupation, geographical distribution, gender distribution, as well as very soon projection of the growth rate of those occupations. It builds mainly on data coming from the Labor Force Survey, which is a national survey, as you might know, done by the CAPMAS, the statistical body of Egypt. It covers the formal as well as the informal sector. Moving to the next instrument that also aims to better understand the demand side of the labor market, we have 2 scenarios for this. The first one is to analyze the data that would be coming on skills from currently implemented national surveys. As you might have heard, there is a survey that is implemented by CAPMAS in Egypt that is called Employment, Wages and Hours of Wage Survey. And in the coming round, which is about to start very, very soon this month, they have a module on skills and understanding the skills through this establishment survey. It is an establishment survey, the skills that are needed per occupation, and also the skills that are needed for the vacancies that the establishments have. The other scenario is to use an international benchmark such as the ONET, and to try to understand at the occupational level what are the knowledge, abilities, and skills that are needed or that are expected to be needed. So what we're in the process of doing is to have the data coming from the ONET of the US and get it translated, and at a later stage also validated in Egypt, so that we can say for occupation X, these are the expected knowledge, skills, and abilities that would be needed in the future. I hope I'm not too quick in explaining things, but the third LMAI, which I think is the most relevant to the discussion here, which is something we're interested to implement, is a vacancy barometer and a job search barometer that builds on online data sets and data coming from online job portals. This is the scenario 2. So we analyzed the near real-time data that is coming from online job vacancy portals in Egypt, such as Forosna, as well as Shaghalni, etc. There are many in Egypt with their goods and also their limitations. And scenario 1 is to have a look at the data that is going to be collected as part of the employment, wages, and hours of work survey that I just mentioned, as well as other surveys to better understand the vacant jobs. Of course, this has a time lag because the surveys, until they get published and the data sets are published, takes a bit of time. The forum itself, as I said, we have the different participants. The aim is to bring people into this platform together, present the evidence and discuss the evidence and come up with policy recommendations. What we did in March 2022 is that we covered, first of all, to set the scene, we had the Ministry of Education planning, international cooperation, manpower, CAPMAS, and us as the co-hosts of the forum. And we started with a discussion based on evidence on the impact of the global trends on the Egyptian labor market. And then we zoomed into two topics, which are the growing and shrinking occupations and the gig economy in particular. Finally, that's my last slide, I believe. We are planning and in the process of preparing for the second National Forum on the Future of Work, which is going to be conducted in March 2023, where we are going to be focusing on the skills required for the future of work with a focus on the green economy, green jobs, so to say, as well as the ICT sector. Again, we collect and analyze data, qualitative and quantitative, about those topics, including, of course, interviews and focus group discussions with relevant stakeholders. Yeah, let me stop here. And if there are any questions. Eduarda, you're muted.
Yes. Thanks very much, Radwa. I think this is a very, very useful information. And just without knowing any details, and this is my very first introduction to the task force and to the work you are already doing. I would like to say that it is really fundamental that labor market intelligence functions as a network, on a network, as based on a network of different data collection providers, sources, users, and of course, analysts, because there are so many different angles of analysis that need to be taken into account. So it's the first time I see a country that has taken such an initiative of this task force for LMI. And we are always, in a way, advising to do it, to go for networked approaches rather than isolated institutional settings. So it's a way to congratulate you without knowing the details, of course. So thanks for sharing this. So now I don't know if there are any questions immediately, or can we move ahead with the presentation of the ETF project, if that's okay with you. Pasqualino, do you have any points to make immediately, or can we?
You made a point. I'm impressed. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let me then. You have received a week ago or more this presentation and also a short note explaining the essentials of this ETF project. So I will try to be as focused as possible. Please do prepare your questions. We will have time for questions and answers, and especially to see how can we cooperate and contribute. I am coordinating this project since end 2018, and so until 2022, the project has been in form of a pilot project to explore these new sources of data and also new types of data analytics. So a few starting notes. So online job vacancy analysis is the core of the current ETF online job vacancy analysis project, so demand analysis. So this is, of course, for now, demand focused. Of course, we all know that artificial intelligence aided data analytics, web data offer wider perspectives for analysis, for insights, for trend discovery related with also the supply side. And ETF is also now exploring this new avenue, this side, so the supply side analysis based on internet data and data analytics. Naturally, that building and maintaining an online job vacancy analysis system that is built on AI for certain of the processes require specific approach, techniques, and tools. The maintenance, further development of the data system is the responsibility of ETF, but naturally that the system is very flexible and can and should be adapted to the needs of the country or the institutions interested in this kind of insights and trends analysis and data delivery. To ensure, of course, the quality, the stability, credibility, we work with an experienced data science team and the state-of-the-art methodological framework. And this data science team is the same team that is working also with Eurostat, the European Union statistical system, and with CDFOP on the skills of aid framework or system, which has been then the source and the initial pilot of this approach. So important is that also that ETF is going to open up access of the relevant national organizations to the database, underpinning this system. So, and ETF is naturally preparing also the necessary technical support to ensure that the data can be used with clarity, quality, and efficiency. So these were just some starting notes. I'm not going, of course, into details about drivers of change. We all know them, from digitization, automation, artificial intelligence, COVID-19, with very lasting consequences, effects, including remote work, the greening of the economy and society that also require and are going to produce a number of changes in the organization of work, production, etc. in many sectors. Some of them very, very substantial changes are going to happen, societal movements. So all this produces very quick and also important transformations in terms of work, the skills, the mix of skills, the mix of jobs in the economy. And according to the World Economic Forum, by 2025, 50% of the working population basically requires reskilling, retraining. And this all means that naturally labor market intelligence is more important than ever in this unpredictable and quickly changing environment. We all know, this is also known, I'm not going into detail, that users of labor market intelligence are at various levels, the macro, the meso, the micro levels, and of course the final end users, the learners, the workers, the employers themselves. People are becoming much more autonomous in terms of search and use of data, of insights, and all sorts of information, intelligence, not only data. So the transformation of the labor markets is driven by the different factors that just mentioned and others. Is there. We are living it. We are all living through it, going through it. And indeed, artificial intelligence and machine learning are not only changing the labor market, but also giving us new tools for analyzing the workforce. So I just mentioned earlier about Eurostat. Eurostat is also building and quite advanced now with the trusted smart statistics system, which is completing the conventional statistics, so that Eurostat going forward is proposing a set of official statistics that is not only based on conventional sources, surveys, but also based on, for example, online job vacancy analysis, for example, of the type as done by CDFOP with the EU member states, 27 EU member states. And you have, of course, the possibility to look through the different tools available online, the platforms, dashboards available online to get acquainted. And the EU of that is, of course, a major breakthrough. So the CDFOP has started this work in 2017, 2016. The data collection has been very impressive. There are over 200 million online job vacancies collected nowadays, and of course processed, deduplicated, etc. We will see it quickly. So basically, online job vacancies are an important source. There are terabytes of data, so this needs to be used to complement the usual statistical data sources. You know all this very well, so I'm not going into detail. Maybe just mention that in this innovative, or let's say changing approach, that is not going to replace the conventional, but complement it. And I want to underscore this. We are talking about using all the new sources of this datified society in which we are, using AI-aided methods, data science-based approaches for the data analysis, the important step of analysis, and for the data delivery, and that's also fundamental, moving from tables, database reports to more web intelligence shared systems, regional multi-country platforms, as the ones already existing in several places, including in the EU. So the innovative, as what we are calling the innovative and changing LMI approaches, they provide more granular and of course real-time or quasi-real-time LMI. In this slide, we just emphasize what has just been said. So using data derived from online job postings and other web sources can indeed be a solution for the type of LMI in terms of scope, in terms of depth, in terms of responsiveness, so real time and granularity that is required to anticipate and react quickly. A few words about big data for labor market intelligence, the ETF project. So these are the main elements of the data system that we have constructed since 2020. So it is data from online job vacancies, as already said. It's an AI-aided data system. AI-aided means AI plus human, of course. Then it is obviously using international classifications. We are going to see the list, but basically, and very important, ESCO, ISCO. Then it is a system that uses dashboards and variables that can be combined in a flexible manner and according to the needs. So as I said earlier, it's very responsive to different needs and different requests. So online and interactive dashboards. The approach is a more of a bottom-up approach. Let the data speak. So not the survey top-down approach, but more data, let the data speak. And then, of course, those 5 important characteristics of big data, which are volume, terabytes of data, velocity, yes, of course. Data is increasing, is doubling in the world every year. The variety, veracity, and value. Value is what is needed, not the data itself, but the value that can be created. So the gold mine of online job vacancy data, according to a conference of OECD 2 years ago, and I thought these were very interesting points from that conference, is of course that it is real-time, fast, and granular. But very important is the links that can be done with 8 other data sets, statistical and other big data databases. But note, and that's a very important characteristic, this big data for labor market intelligence covers parts of the labor market in terms of sectors, occupations, and qualifications. The ETF project started in 2018, second half of 2018, close to the end, with a the first step was a methodology. We wanted to have to put together the most important, let's say, characteristics, hints, recommendations, examples about big data for labor market intelligence. What is it? How to construct a system? What kind of architecture is required? And many examples. This was published in 3 languages. It's available online. The first application was in 2019 with the feasibility analysis, which is a landscaping of the web labor markets, Tunisia and Morocco. And then from 2020, the year of the pandemic, we started the actual creation or building of the complete online job vacancy analysis system with dashboards for the data delivery for 2 countries, Tunisia and Ukraine. Currently, we have then 3 such data systems. The 3rd country was added in 2021, Georgia. And in 2021, too, we started a new dashboard within the country dashboards, a new page, which we call green, and it is analyzing demand for green jobs and skills. So you can easily find this information, this analysis in these 3 country dashboards. As I already said, we are working exclusively with online job vacancies from different types of sources, web sources. So it's not based on, we are not working, for example, with social media or something like this. Quite important is to mention that there is full comparability with the real-time data system of the EU, of the European Union 27, because we are using the same methodology with some adaptations as far as the variables and the web pages on the dashboards are concerned. So we have decided to go to try more, to be a bit more ambitious and test more variables than the skills of aid system of the EU. In 2022, we start now a new phase. We started a new phase very recently, mid of the year. And this, so we are now using all the learnings, let's say, the experiences, the lessons from the first phase, 2020-2021 pilot, as I said, and expanding to new countries, going also more into qualitative improvements, and exploring new sides, new angles of analysis, notably related with supply side on the labor market. So for 2022, 2 new countries are considered, so Egypt and also Kenya. We are still discussing with Kenya, and this is part of the EU-Kenya labor dialogue. So here we are guided and coordinated with the Directorate General Employment and Social Affairs of the European Commission. So in the Ukraine, we are doing, as you can imagine, more work. For example, their ETF has translated into Ukrainian language ESCO, which, as you know, is the European Skills, Competences, Occupations and Qualifications taxonomy. And so Ukrainian is now, ESCO in Ukrainian is now the new official language of ESCO, adding up to the other 26. Arabic is also one of the official languages of ESCO. We have started additional work with Ukraine, like regional projects using this the approach online job vacancy analysis, and additional significant improvements in the data collection, analysis, and delivery. So the visualization part. This year too, we are working on a new, let's say, conceptual approach, seeking to increase and understand much better the contextualization of online job vacancy analysis within the labor market as a whole, as well as in relationship with the conventional statistical sources, and also administrative data. So the idea is to contextualize much better the online job vacancy data and create better linkages with conventional statistics. Also, a lot of attention is going to be dedicated this year to capacity development, dissemination of results, and debate. So there will be different activities, events for the 3 countries, as well as general, covering all involved in countries. So I said 3 countries now, and actually now we will hopefully also have additional countries in the system. So we all know why online job vacancies are important. They represent demand of employers and enterprises, and they can provide a detailed description of the needs in terms of occupation, job, the requirements, skills, intelligence, also level of education qualification, the work context, and they are close to reality. So the language used is close to reality of the labor market. That's quite fundamental. So as a new source of data, online job vacancies are simply used as portrayed in this slide. So the web data ingestion is the process of obtaining and importing data from web portals, different sources, and storing in a database. And we will see very briefly also the process. So, and through the chain of processing, extraction of data, classification, we reach then the labor market intelligence database and visualization. So what we aim at, what the system aims at, is to transform these thousands and hundreds of thousands, even millions of online job vacancies from different sources, all written in different manner, unstructured, mostly data, into value. And this value are, of course, different ways of speaking to different publics, different users, about different trends and types of analytics. This is then the process of this system. Normally, we say that it is based on 5 steps. I always then add, actually, there is a first step, so it's 6 steps, in fact. And the first, landscaping of online job vacancy sources, is really fundamental. Because, in fact, the web labor market is changing very quickly. We can see it from experience from the first landscaping exercises we did in 2019, 2020. In the same countries, the web labor market is changing. So there are mergers, there are new online job vacancy providers appearing. There are some of them closing or becoming much less active. There are also those that block access to scraping. So there is a permanent need to keep an eye on the situation and evolution of the online job vacancy market. So ingestion can be done in various manners, scraping, but also API and others. Processing, very important. Pre-processing is notably the moment where noise is removed and deduplication is done, and that's fundamental. Information extraction, so this is already the start of the database. The database is growing as more information is extracted from the data processed, and then the presentation area. This is, of course, the fundamental part is the value for the end users, although these initial 3 steps are also very important and should not be neglected in any way. I'll try to be very quickly. So from unstructured text, which is implicit knowledge, we go to structured content, explicit knowledge through this process of information extraction, semantic metadata, search, knowledge discovery, information retrieval. So these are the steps, more or less what I said earlier. Maybe here I would like just to emphasize the step 3, in which the classification is done. So all that data processed is then classified using AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, always verified, checked, and debated, negotiated, let's say, compared. with the ESCO classification, the European Union classification of skills, competences, occupations, and qualifications. So I would like to say that this could also be an important point that could be considered for Egypt, given your, let's say, closeness to the European Union in many ways, and the fact that ESCO and ONET are speaking with each other. There is a very well advanced process of cross-walking, which means then the correspondence between ESCO and ONET as far as occupations and skills are concerned. I think I more or less already said all this, so we could move further in this presentation. So from the online job sites, collect, deduplicate job postings, and you will see further that deduplication is really fundamental, and then tagging, normalizing posting to the postings to generate detailed data. And for example, the variables you can see here: job title and occupation, employer, industry, technical skills, foundational skills, certifications, qualifications, educational requirements, experience levels, salaries, and many other aspects can be extracted from this enormous source, which are online job vacancies. And this is why we could, for example, create a special analysis related with green skills and green jobs. And we are going also to do one this year on remote work, always using the same data lakes already existing. There is something important also to bear in mind, and we are going also to improve this, or to start and improve this year. This is just an example. It is to understand and control variances between different sources, online job vacancies, and then, for example, Eurostat. In this case, it's Eurostat because it's Germany, but this can be done also with using the national statistics. And as you can see here, the occupational groups, managers, professionals, technicians, etc., of ISCO at Digit1 the data is here compared, burning glass meaning in 2014-2018, for Germany in this case, and Eurostat the same years, and you can see the differences. And these differences speak, for example, to one thing, to the coverage, the scope of the labor market covered by online job vacancy analysis. There are some challenges that have to be transformed into opportunities, and this is also the work we are doing now in this new project. So first of all, the big challenge is handling a huge amount of near real-time data. Then data coming from the web, so need to detect and reduce noise from one side, and of course to deduplicate. A multi-language environment, that's very, very important. One of the important taxonomies classifiers is ESCO, so 26 languages plus now Ukrainian, also Arabic. The need to relate to these classification standards, different ones, also related also with education, the location and areas of economic activity, and find a way to summarize and present a very wide and complex scenario through the dashboards, different platforms, data delivery solutions, of the use of data sets by the key institutions in a manner that is relevant, appropriate for their needs, and of course the need to relate to other databases and statistics, as I mentioned earlier. Very briefly about the data sets and the databases and dashboards we already have. Maybe you had a moment to take a look at them. They were all mentioned in the short note I had sent earlier. For the case of Tunisia, we have, and this is until end of May, but if we go now to the dashboards, you will see they are already updated, data released until end of June 2022. So Tunisia, we had then 615,000 online job vacancies, of which 151,000 are the deduplicated ones. In Ukraine general, for Ukraine, we have several data sets and one data set, but dashboards. Ukraine general dashboard, almost 2.5 million. Georgia, a smaller amount because Georgia has a much shorter timeline. So we started only last year, in April last year. The variables that we are using now, as you can see from the dashboards, are the ones indicated. So occupation, education level, sector, industry. Then for knowledge, skills, attitudes, you can also see how they are represented in terms of data. We have contract type, experience, the place, and then the green skills. As I said, all these variables, features can be customized, can be adapted to the needs. And this is very, very brief, also just a very brief overview. It's quite easy to use the dashboards. I will say a few words about the work we are now going to do on the dashboards. On top there, you have for all the dashboards the menu, and you can then navigate, you can interact, you can do a large amount of interactive queries to the dashboards. This the page that I just showed was actually my request. I wanted to have all the different variables in only one page. So this is also this is called the professional dashboard page, in which you can find all the most important variables per country. These are the data classification taxonomies that we use.
There's the room and the chair, suit cover, black, bring it. I want to give it to him.
Yeah, you know where my chair is? Under the clothes, you find black keys. Oh, it's
Ahmed, you are not muted.
It's a keys. It's a black. You know when I have these
Ahmed, you are not muted. Maybe I can mute him. Okay, fine. Okay, so I just wanted to say that in 2021, ETF has done a first landscaping exercise of the online job vacancy market in Egypt. We have a report. We have also shared it. Now we are reviewing that report, updating exactly to be able to reach a good ranking that reflects the current realities. As I said earlier, online job vacancy web market is changing very, very quickly. I wanted, if you don't mind, just to give a very quick overview of one or two additional sources, so that we just have a relationship to some of the sources and examples I had mentioned earlier. So this is ESCO portal. You can access easily ESCO EC. As you can see, it is divided in three big pillars. Occupations, skills, qualifications, although qualifications now they are all managed through the Europass portal, but you can of course access occupations and see a little bit let's say the interesting possibilities offered by ESCO occupations. Up to digit 4, ESCO is fully based on ISCO 08, but then digit 5, it is already a more granular level that is already considered ESCO occupations. And when you have a moment, you can do this exercise and you will find, I think, very, very useful information about the description of these ESCO occupations, the skills, knowledge, skills optional and mandatory or essential, and the same thing for knowledge, essential and optional. And also, ESCO offers a lot of different ways to link the skills with different occupations, so that you can create maps of skills related to the different occupations. So this is on the occupations briefly. So you saw 3,008 occupations. On skills, a lot of work has been done in the recent years, including creating a new hierarchy. And we have 13,890 skills in ESCO. So the newest version of ESCO has been released this year. Any country can create, for example, a crosswalk between ESCO and its own classification of occupations, for example. Some countries are also doing it for classification of skills, if they have. So currently, 20 EU member states have already created the correspondence, the crosswalks, and 4 of them have simply adopted ESCO. They said they don't need to create another classification, so they adopted ESCO skills and occupations as their our national classification of occupations and skills. And as I said, there is now also a correspondence in advanced status of development with the US ONET. Actually, if you visit OVATE, Skills OVATE of the EU, you will see that the results are provided either in ESCO or in ONET classification. So everybody can understand one or the other. We started already a very first step of the data set Egypt, so collecting data already from 2021 based on that initial dashboard that I mentioned earlier. And currently, of course, a lot of work is being done to update the landscaping exercise and also the sources of data. We are now in the very first steps of creating the data set. The dashboard is very, very simple for now. It is based on the same variables that we have seen earlier: occupation, occupation education, occupation industry, the industry, occupation to skill, location, professional dashboard. The dashboard that shows us all the different variables in only one page, but this is all not yet at all published. It's not yet possible. I'm just showing as a very first step. So this very simple version of the dashboard is going to be completed with a number of things, notably also a description of the data that is being used, how it is being analyzed, classified, and a disclaimer also for users of the data, an indication that this data is not statistically representative, because that's not the purpose also of this data, it's online job vacancies. And further on, it's a matter of discussing with you, with the task force, on the customization, adaptation, further enrichment of this data system. As I said earlier, we are also looking into providing access to the databases to different, of course, relevant and credible institutions for purposes of national analysis, comparison, etc. We can also, as already said earlier, do a lot of other different types of analysis from this data lake. If you are interested, for example, in the trends related with remote work, telework, as long as the data, as the online job vacancies talk about it, have a few words about remote work, for example, we can do it. It's also possible to use data from the online job vacancy analysis of the EU, from the big data lake of the EU, on job postings in the European Union member states that are for jobs located in Egypt. So this is all available, and it is possible to add this information as well. Allow me just very quickly to show, this is already. So this is the dashboard of Tunisia. It's a neighboring country. In this case, we have the green skill dashboard available here. And let me just show one. So the occupation education dashboard. As you can see, the data is available in higher aggregation and also in more granular format. And the representation of the data, as said, also can be customized, can be adjusted, can be improved. In this case here, for example, you can see that the data is always available at national level, the national aggregation, and also regions, by regions. So all the data is always allocated also by region. So by clicking, you can get the full update at regional level within a country. For example, if you use the professional dashboard, you can then see all in any of the regions, Tunis or Zagwan or the southern regions. They are different, of course, you can see, and you can get immediately an overview at regional level. Maybe interesting, just very briefly also to note about the green skill, the work that has been done. So just working with the online job vacancy analysis processed in the data lakes that I mentioned earlier, in this case for Tunisia, we have then done this work of creating these graphs reflecting the share of green skill by occupation and also the share of green skill by industry. You have the national representation, also the regional representation. We have used these 7 green skill families. They are related also with the EU Green Deal. So we just wanted to have some reference points that relate also to the EU. And you can then also, of course, navigate through these various green skill families. Let me then just very briefly show you the last thing I wanted. If I have it here immediately. Okay. Skills of 8 of the EU, as I said earlier, and I'll think quite quickly finish. So the Skills of 8 is the EU own system for the EU member states of online job vacancy analysis, and it is an own platform with this representation, and you can access all these different windows and have skills insights across occupations, across sectors, countries, skills trends, occupational insights as well, skills in occupations, different angles of analysis, sector insights, so the different areas of economic activity, and regional insights as well. There is all this information provided in the introduction so that every user knows what this data is, how it is analyzed. If you go into skills in occupations, for example, you can see, you can have at ESCO skill classification level 0 to 3, and the most relevant occupations. And here you can select, for example, an ONET-based classification, which is, for example, quite interesting since you are already working with ONET. So I'm just mentioning this, first of all, to relate the ETF own project with the EU project, very well based, underpinned by the scientific and methodological basis, and also to mention once again the comparability of the data in the two systems. I think that I can then stop sharing. And if you have questions, we have, of course, more slides. You have seen the PowerPoint presentation. If you have any questions related also to the PowerPoint presentation, please just ask me, and we can discuss a little bit now. So let me just say to conclude that ETF now has, for the years 2022 to 2015, a dedicated project with the resources being financial, technical, methodological, to work on and expand this system of online job vacancy analysis. And as I said earlier, also start analyzing and exploring different other angles of analysis of online job online data, including on supply side. In 2023, and these are my last words, 2023, we are going then to work on the online job vacancy analysis systems for Algeria and Morocco. We have done already some preliminary work with Morocco, as I said earlier, the landscaping, the feasibility analysis. And we have already access to data from Algeria and also from Morocco. So we are going to continue and create the dashboards for these two countries, and further on also try to look at the possibility to create a platform that looks into the online job vacancy analysis of all countries in North Africa. Okay, not including Libya, it's a little bit more complicated. But then Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, and Egypt. This would give them a very useful source of information, insights, also for the European Union own work, for example, in the migration and talent management area. So I completed my presentation. Thanks. Let's see that there are questions in the, or some points indicated.
Please, if you have questions, go ahead. I saw, Eduardo,
Yes.
I saw also a question in the chat. Can you tell us more about the green dashboard and its methodology? Was one of the questions, for example.
Okay.
Andreas, would you like to start?
Yes, I have some. I would like. Okay, so if you want to add questions, otherwise I wanted just to go through some of the questions on the chat box. But please, Radwa and Adrian, you can start. Yes, Andreas.
Maybe I start because it's very general. My comments very interesting, also very advanced. I'm impressed, I must say. The question for us in Egypt is very specific, and I have three comments or questions. First of all, we should align with the ministries, with the government, to see whether this is somehow in line with their policies. I think, Radwa, you will definitely also go into this subject. That's the first. We also should take into consideration we have a data protection law in Egypt, which is very tricky. It's I don't mean it negative, but it's detailed. We shouldn't ignore this. So we should have a look at it. I don't know how it will be exactly evaluated, but we will see. And we should also see that our partner ministry, the Ministry of Education, has of course an understanding, or would like to have an understanding of the labor market, but it is very much more which is the trend of the labor market, which is interesting, because the Ministry of Education has to provide the workforce.
Yes.
So we would be very much interested in the ministry, I guess, to understand what happens in 10 years, in 5 years, so that a planning mechanism can also be put in place. These are my comments, but thanks a lot, Eduardo. That was very interesting presentation.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. And Radwa?
Yes, thank you very much, Eduardo, for the thorough presentation. Very interesting, very interesting to us also as an LMI team. I have to say, I have a couple of questions, but I think for the time time limitation purposes, I will just pick the most important ones, and maybe then we can have another meeting or get together where we, get into the details. My first question is related to how this is linked to national bodies in Egypt, relevant national bodies, if at all. What's the plan in terms of hosting it, maintaining it, the roles of different stakeholders, and how is this, if at all, also linked to the national labor market system, labor market information system that the EU TVET Egypt is attempting to launch in Egypt? That's my first question. My second question is, you said, if I got it correctly, that you as an ETF, you have resources for this for the coming 3 years. Did I get that correctly? If you can elaborate on this. Mm-hmm. And my third point is on the analysis part. I agree with Andreas, of course, the link to the education system and the training program stream is very important, making use of this data set, not only for a user, like a data user or someone who's visiting the website, but also taking it to the next step of analysis. And for us, this is very interesting to, and this is something that we can potentially discuss as an area of collaboration to see how we can build on this data, analyze it, link it with other streams of statistics, etc., for informing decision makers, particularly in the TVET system. The other last point maybe is on the, you mentioned something related to that some websites may block web scraping. Do you have any experience in this in Egypt? Did you face this challenge? To what extent are also, data has a particular sensitivity in Egypt? To what extent is this, has this been discussed or tackled?
Okay.
I have more questions, but I will stop here.
Yes. Thanks. Thank you very much. I would like then to ask also Ahmed, please, could you formulate your questions? I'm taking note, and then I try to address all of them.
Yes, I think I will just tackle the part that Andreas and Radwa mentioned about the coordination at the national level, and that was when I was speaking to Pascolino and Eduarda about this initiative and how to start, and this was the advice when I talked to Dr. Mujahid, was why don't we approach GIZ to see if this can be done through the task force, again to avoid duplication, and most of the if not all the relevant stakeholders are already in the task force. So that was the main reason, is that we avoid duplication, we avoid confusion in the government, and also to see the best way forward. We have the Ministry of Planning on board, we have CAPMAS, so this was really the main idea behind this, is that rather than ETF doing this on their own and trying to start from point zero in terms of initiation with the government, is to try to coordinate at this stage. So that was the part in terms of national coordination. And I think the task force would be a good starting point if this is explained to them, and we take it from there. So that was the main idea in terms of this. And I think, as I say, as Andres said, the outputs of this are really important for the Ministry of Education and Technical Education as a main partner for GIZ. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for this response that already, in a way, addresses some of the points that were made here. And maybe, Marcus, would you like also to formulate your comment or questions, and then I can quickly go through all the questions again. Maybe, Marcus, you need to unmute. I don't know. Marcus is he from GIZ or?
He's the expert in TVET project.
Okay. Fine.
Marcus, do you hear us?
Maybe I can start immediately responding, and then Marcus will come in with his points, comments, or questions. So thanks a lot for the questions. I will start by addressing the questions that are not yet replied. So, align with government, institutional embeddedness, obvious. That's the reason why we are here talking today. Already last year in 2021, we addressed the government through official letters. And we had conversations already with the Ministry of Education and Technical Education. We have also organized a number of webinars in 2021 in which participated not only representatives of your project, GIZ, but also TVET2, and other representatives also from ministries. We started already this information and preparation, let's say, of the future work from 2021. So the point that was just mentioned by Ahmed and written in the chat box by Pascolino, it simply summarizes the expectation that ETF has of being able to contribute to the work of the task force, to the LMI AI's work as well, through this data system. As I said, the data system, the data delivery platform, visualization area, also the variables that are analyzed or classified, the classification is done according to certain criteria, can be also adapted to the needs, to the priorities of the institutions or governments, governmental institutions. Certainly in the task force, you already have, as you showed, priorities or priority questions, priority even maybe activities in which this data system could give a contribution. And again, online job vacancy analysis can be complemented by other angles of analysis, supply side, for example. The data delivery can be modified, can be more sophisticated, can be also adapted to different target users, not only statisticians or data analysts, but also for policy making purposes, and of course for the end users as well. So there can be a number of ways of delivering the value, maybe instead of saying data, the value that will have to be simply discussed with the task force or with those leading the task force or coordinating the task force. So the task force is in a way the reference point of ETF and of this ETF project going forward. Maybe also a few words on the data protection law. As you know, as an ETF is an EU agency, and we fully abide by GDPR, naturally, which is also extremely demanding legislative framework for data protection and data privacy, and data protection in Egypt legislation is going also to be respected. In any case, what I can say is that online job vacancy analysis does not deal at all with private data. It is data published on the internet by authorized, let's say, sources, and it is never personal data. It is requests of employers, companies of different types. When it comes to supply side data, there, yes, we need to really be extremely well organized, let's say, in order to meet all the requirements of data protection legislation. When it comes to supply side data, such as social profiles of people in different areas, in different sources, maybe LinkedIn, etc. So that's another story. But the online job vacancy analysis, fortunately, does not deal with private personal data. The use of data for analysis, yes, this is absolutely fundamental. So, Radwa, here we have different ways of contributing. First, one thing is to tailor, customize the system, the angles of analysis. Imagine that you have a huge ocean of data in a huge database, and you want to fishes. You want a tuna fish, you want shrimp, you want caviar, you want sardine, etc. These are the variables, and you find them in that lake. You need to know, as task force, what is it that you need for the analysis of today, tomorrow, and after tomorrow. And there, these are the questions then we ask our data scientists to create the necessary algorithms that fish those different fishes and put them in a systematized manner, in as transparent as possible manner as well, not a black box, for analysis. And how is this done? So either you have the dashboards that are available. There is another way to access. It is something we are going to do this year, and we are going also to organize a training on that, is access to the data itself. Let's say to the raw data in the database. And so that institutions can do their own analysis, maybe combine with other data sources. So these are the two ways that I can immediately mention. Naturally, that ETF itself, with our data scientists and our consortium that includes also research academics and research organizations, we can also carry out some types of analysis. For example, analysis on the relationship or the correlation between the COVID-19 pressure and demand. We have already started this year with the 3 data sets, Tunisia, Ukraine, and Georgia. We can show you that, we can send you that report, but that's one possibility, for example. In the case of Egypt, we have data going back to 2021. So it covers just one part of the COVID pandemic. Another thing, Radwa, you asked was about website blocking. We don't have yet that, we did not find yet that phenomenon, let's say, in the case of Egypt, but Egypt, we are just starting the work. But we found it in Ukraine, one website, and also in Tunisia. And this blocking was related with a little bit with protection of commercial interests, let's say. But we discussed with them, and they explained that we are absolutely not competitors, because we are not selling at all online job vacancies but simply creating databases of skills, occupations, and different other variables based on all that raw data. unstructured data. But in the case of Egypt, we don't have this experience yet, but we are now doing, of course, the landscaping, the renewed landscaping, which is the screening of the online job vacancy portals available. And these portals can be national, can be also international. There are several international portals that have a specific window, let's say, for Egypt or for Tunisia, Morocco, etc. As you certainly know, of course, because you are also working on that. And let me then address here some questions to the chat.
Sorry,
yes.
Sorry, the question about your own plans as ETF in terms of like bringing resources to the to implementing this plan in Egypt.
Yes.
Maybe I think you forgot to address this. Yes.
Okay. I was going to you to get to that in the last part, because there are a number of technical questions here in the chat box. But okay, so as I said, ETF project 2022-2025, big data for labor marketing intelligence has resources, financial, technical, to implement these data systems in different countries. So the project will continue with the already existing data systems, continued the data collection, ingestion, analysis, maintenance, further improvement, and expansion to new countries. As I said in the beginning, in those starting notes, the access of the country or the customization to the country needs is something to be discussed, for example, through the task force, and then we can tailor the data system to those needs, provided, of course, they are also compatible with the kind of data that can be provided by online job vacancies. So this is not supply data, it is demand data. So that people understand it very well. And the other way to access all the data, as I said, is through the dashboards and through the specific access to databases of our system. So also in the European Union, we are following exactly the same approach as created, tested, and established, consolidated in the European Union for the skills of aid system led by CDFOP. So CDFOP does analysis, coordinates the project, leads also the further directions of the project development, areas of further analysis, new angles, of new data sources, etc. And a team of data scientists and data engineers is in charge of the IT part, let's say, to be simple, to say it in simple words, of the data system. But the analysis, the coordination, the lead of the project is, of course, done by the ETF in coordination with the countries. If you have a look at the different dashboards, and they are all included in the document I had sent you, you have hyperlinks there. You will see the way the data is currently structured. You can also compare with the data as it is structured in the Skills of 8. You also find the same information, the hyperlink to the Skills of 8 EU in the note, in the short, brief note I sent you. And I can send you a couple of links right after this meeting, so if it is easier for you. So in any case, for the establishment, maintenance of this system from 2022 to 2025, ETF has the resources, financial and technical, Now, how to link it with the task force, it's a matter of discussing with you, listening to your needs, to your requirements, trying to find the necessary IT solutions for interoperability, for example. Also agree on certain deliverables on a yearly basis or twice a year or something else. So that this can contribute to a one LMI system, in this case coordinated by the task force, or maybe encapsulated by the task force with the various different contributors and partners.
Marta, can I suggest that ETF also be a part of this task force for the LMI? What do you think?
I find this excellent, and thanks very much for suggesting. We would immediately say yes. I think Pasqualino, I don't know how do you see this? I think it would.
Yeah, because by this you will be always updated with the situation, with all the information, and with all also what the partners and the government is doing in this.
Yes, yeah. So Ahlam and Radwa, let us know what, and of course our colleague from the ministry, Ahmed, let us know what is the procedure or way to go forward, and how can we express interest in being part of the task force with this product, knowing that the product is customizable.
Yes, from my side, that was the invitation was going to be just extended to you to be part of the task force, of course, because your plans when it comes to labor market intelligence, so to say, is quite relevant to the topic. We do the meetings every second Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. online, Cairo time, and I mean, we can, like, this is an invitation. If you also want to have it in an email, we can also do that, just for documentation purposes. In the past, we used to have always, when we initiated this, we used to have the whole idea started, let's say, with a meeting with the Deputy Minister of Planning and Economic Development, where we said, let's work together. And then we got to know that the ILO project is working on a similar endeavor. And then we enlarged the group as we moved forward, of course, the Ministry of Education, et cetera, et cetera. And we always have a sort of an orientation meeting with the newly added member to just familiarize the entity with what we have done so far in more details, you know, and what we plan to do. And then here you go. It's as easy as that. And you're part of it.
Thank you. That's excellent. I think this is the best possible outcome of this meeting. From my perspective, and thanks for the trust, and I'm very, very happy if you see things like this, that we can join and contribute and be relevant, let's say, in a relevant manner to the task force, because that's exactly the way to go. We absolutely don't want to do things in an isolated, separated manner that doesn't make sense. Of course, not. Yes.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know whether we're running out of time. I think we need a more technical meeting to get into the details.
There was a question for Marcos, if he can maybe jump in before we finish. I don't know if he's already still connecting.
Yes. I see Marcos now in the list of participants. I think Marcus left.
So from TVET2, do we have any remarks?
Yes, colleagues.
Hello?
Yes, Dr.
Okay, I just got disconnected, sorry. As far as I guess, can you repeat, Eduardo, the question that was addressed to TVET Egypt program?
No, it was just the question. The question was just whether you have any comments, suggestions, recommendations.
Because Marcos was raising his hand, Magid. So maybe Marcos, I don't know where is he, but maybe Marcos has a remark.
Marcus has an intervention at some points, and he was trying to comment on what Eduarda said in her presentation, but I guess something went wrong with his connection. So, but there are no comments from my side actually. But maybe he was trying to comment technically on something that Eduarda showed in her presentation.
Okay. Yes. So thank you so much, Dr. Barakat, for this. We have, of course, the possibility for sure to have another meeting, and maybe Radwa, it's up to you if you even want to use a part of your next task force meeting and ask us to do a presentation, maybe more technical, etc. Then I will invite our data scientist team and up to you. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we can dedicate one meeting to this topic. I believe we had an agenda point for the next meeting that we were waiting for a confirmation from our EU TVET colleague Mustafa to give the task force an update together with the Ministry of Planning on the National Labor Market Information System. And we, maybe Mustafa, you can comment on this, if this can happen in the coming meeting. And then we have the meeting after on the online job vacancy initiative of the ETF. Mustafa, okay. Mustafa, maybe you can confirm the possibility of having a presentation by the TVET Egypt and the Ministry of Planning on updates related to the national LMIS.
Okay, hello Radwa, hello everyone.
Hello.
Okay, I don't think that it's hard to do it. We will get just a permission from Dr. Hanan. As you mentioned that we need
she was the one actually who
proposed that. So she was the one who proposed that, Mustafa.
Yes, I received their email and I replied to the email asking for the permission from Mr. Magid and Dr. Hanan too, because we're having a communication, I think, and she didn't mention that, so that's why I asked for her advice and her permission. And maybe through this week we will finalize this. Don't worry.
Oh. So this means then in this case, Radwa, that a presentation on more technical, let's say, on this ETF online job vacancy analysis system could be done in the, not the next, but the second next meeting.
Yes, I mean, if you can have some flexibility in case the presentation by TVET Egypt is not possible the coming Tuesday, then we can switch. That would be great. And we will forward you the calendar invite with the link and everything.
That's okay. Okay, fine. I take note and I will already contact my colleagues. I think we had a good meeting, and I don't know, I take note of all these questions that were asked here, whether AI recognizes alphabet and Roman characters. It's not that AI recognizes, but yes, it is possible to do the classification using the translations into Arabic, for example, of the classifications, which are the reference point, and of course the sources, the online job vacancy texts scrapped from the internet. That's done. That is being done also in other languages. For example, we have the experience with Ukraine. We translated into Ukrainian and also even into Russian, and these are also different characters, alphabets. And so we have this experience. Georgia is the same case. You might know Georgia also has a unique in the world alphabet for a very small country, 4 million people. And we are also working with Georgian and English vacancies postings from Georgian sources. I will send you immediately after the online the links. But since we have colleagues that maybe I don't know, I will give you immediately here a few. Here in the chat box, I'm taking just 1 minute. Sorry. So this is the very totally new and not yet published dashboard, initial dashboard for Egypt. As I said, it is not yet published, cannot be published as it is. I'm simply giving you the link for your curiosity. So we are doing much more work to make it accessible and useful without. And I'm giving you also here Ukraine. And then in that short note that I sent you, you find also the other sources. For example, the methodology handbook, the brief methodology handbook is available in English, French also.
Eduardo, I just wanted to ask if, first of all, if there's like some kind of document that elaborates more on the green skills and the green, the green dashboard, if there's a document that we can have a look at, and also if there's a certain timeline where you intend to work on this particular dashboard for Egypt, and if there are like particular pointers that you would need in order to do so, because we're also like what Rod was presented up until now is like a bit more generic, but if we enter into more and more details regarding, for instance, the topic of the green economy, and so there's room for exchange on the topic.
Yes, thanks a lot for this question about the green dashboard. Yes, we have a technical note, so we will share it with you. Basically explaining the approach, so the terms, the taxonomy that we created actually, and now we are going to combine that taxonomy with the green skills of ESCO. ESCO also has now a very rich taxonomy of green skills. It was issued very recently, and we are going to combine it also with that one. You in these dashboards that that you have here now available on in the chat box, you can just navigate and take a look. You will see that unfortunately the share of green skills in online job vacancies is for now quite low, and it is really very much focused in a number of economic sectors. It's not widespread throughout the economy. That's one of the first findings, but we are still working in exploring further this analysis of green skills. Regarding now the next steps immediately with this system. Well, we have created already this set of variables that you can see on the dashboard. So this is already exists, is there, but we want, of course, to customize, as I've been saying, to the certain needs that the task force will tell us. We would like to have from you concrete indications on certain elements, certain angles of analysis that you need, and then we can discuss with you whether this is possible, when this is possible, etc., based on this kind of data sources and data analytics as well. But so if we go ahead just with this, with the dashboard, with the data system and dashboard, as you see, then in October, we will have a first data release that will include then data 2021 to September 2022. Data release. Then the idea is that we then have, this will be early October, that we then have a meeting with the task force, for example, to analyze what is now accessible and possible, and then collect your, let's say, your requests. If you say, what do you need, basically, as task force, and then we try to do it to meet that request. We start with this more or less generic approach, and then we customize. So,
yeah, I think Eduardo, to have a first meeting with the task force where you present what you presented today, but in more, it will be more technical. I promise you, it will be much more technical, because most of the people who are there are from a research background.
Yeah.
So we get into whatever detail you also covered partially today, including, the crosswalks, because we did that also in our work. I'm just thinking whether it makes sense that we maybe have a meeting first before that task force meeting, or we jump right away into having your presentation to the task force.
Maybe we can have a preparatory meeting. Yes. And you can already even start thinking from your perspective of task force. You can have a look at the different dashboards, and you can also have a look at the skills of a dashboard of the EU. And if there is something that is appealing there, we can do similar with in our dashboards. If there are certain areas of analysis that need some additional time to either to create the data analytical methodology, the classification or additional data, etc. This is all to be planned. So it's we continue next year. So it's an ongoing process, and we could plan with you the way forward.
Yeah.
Starting from this basis, this is let's say the basic generic product, and tailoring it will be a matter of discussing.
Okay, I'm just looking at the calendar. I think the next task force meeting is on the 9th from 4 to 5. I'm just thinking that maybe we can manage to have maybe a meeting before that, just to also, I think with I ran over what we do, let's say, because of time limitations. So maybe we can get into a bit more of the details, and then in the meeting on the 9th, also considering potential areas of cooperation, and then we can have the meeting with the task force on the 9th, if we can manage to find the common slots.
Mm-hmm. So the 9th would be then a day in which we could have a preparatory meeting as well?
No, the 9th is the task force meeting from 4 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
We can try to find a slot on the 8th, for example, if that works for you.
For a sort of internal preparatory meeting, just with the small group.
Yeah? Just to give you a more thorough overview on, or not overview, then it will be a more thorough presentation about what we do. Yeah. And also understand some of the things and some of the questions we had that we did not have the time to discuss here.
Fine. Okay. Okay. So that my next step will be then to talk with our data science and team, hoping they will be available, at least some of them, for these two meetings. The 9th of August from 4 to 6 to 4 to 5, it's clear. You are already sure that this could be allocated partially, at least, to the discussion on the big data, yes?
Yes, big data, or I don't know whether Mustafa is still here, or LMIS. I mean, one is on the 9th, and the other one would be on the 2 weeks after, so the 23rd.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you will let me know, right? I will tell you whether or not we are available on the 9th, and then we find the alternative. If not, because this is, you know, it's the month of holidays of everybody here.
Okay. Yeah. And for the 8th,
yeah, the 8th also, I will come back to you. I will contact.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. And this was, I think, very productive. And congratulations for all the work you are already doing on in the task force and all these joining forces. This is something we are always recommending the country to do.
Yes.
An observatory function with many different eyes that can cover the different.
We will tell you about the observatory. We have this, we did not mention today. We also support an observatory at the decentral level, but and that's why I think we need another meeting to get into the details.
Okay.
So yeah. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Eduarda, Radwa, everyone. Bye-bye.
Can I ask everybody to open the cameras and we make a picture with smiles?
Arrange our hair.
I see that women are in predominance. That's why. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Ma-salama.
Ma-salama.
Bye. Thank you, Pasqualino.